Hello, everyone, and a very happy Thursday to all of you tuning into the show. Welcome to Unseen Work, where we remind you every time you see this face popping up in your newsfeed that you have to do the unseen work so that when you are seen, you have something to show for it. So I'm coming to you live from my upstairs den office / podcast studio with some cool news. You saw me last night saying, hey, I was supposed to have a guest. It didn't work with tech difficulties, so I'm coming back tomorrow, which is today. Well, don't have the guest again tonight. So instead of just teasing that, we'll figure out what's going on with Crystal's schedule. I look forward to interviewing her. But to fill this slot, I was moving up an announcement that I was planning to make anyway that I'm now happy to share with all of you that I'm really pumped about. That is, something I'm now seen for, but a lot of unseen work absolutely went into this, right? So if you saw this come across on social, as you're watching this, you saw my teaser, right? That unseen work won an award, which is like mind blowing for me, right? And I can't not make a Christmas story joke, right? It's a major award. And I guess it's a major award. It's a pretty big competition. Thousands of people entered. Only a few were selected with awards, and yours truly was one of them, which I'm really excited about. This is the 2021 Next Generation Indie Book Awards for self-published authors. Since I wrote it myself, it was edited by my good friend, Kathleen Majorski, but I didn't have a big publishing house backing me, right? I wrote it. I figured out how to get it on Amazon. I'm promoting it all the time. So that's what makes it indie. And it took home an award in the motivational category. So what's really neat is now, you add my screen in, look at that. I get this cool gold seal that I could put on the book. I'm updating this right now so I can upload it to Amazon. So if you decide to watch this live stream and then pick up a copy of the book, you can get that gold seal right there. And of course, it wouldn't be an award, right, if I didn't get a medal. So I don't know if I'm ever going to take this protective coating off, but boom, look, card-carrying, medal-wearing member here, the award-winning author category in all its cheesiness. But I'm really pumped about this, and I'm excited for all the support. Shout out Kim Balsamo. Thanks for watching. Go Cuz! Thank you, cousin, for chiming in. I appreciate your support. So some background, right? Just in case this is the first time you're seeing me or you're curious about how this all came to pass. How do you win an award like this for your book? I guess I should stand up so you can see this bad boy medal. Yeah, let's do it. Look at this. Yeah. Right now, my wife is watching this somewhere cringing at me, but that's okay. So I wrote this book, and I started this book in 2019, and it was sort of a pet project. I was almost challenged to write this book, where somebody asked me if I'd ever thought of my podcast, Rolls the Journey, as research for a book. I never thought about it. Never once crossed my mind in hundreds of episodes that I did. I was only thinking about it as a podcast, right? And then as soon as somebody said that, I couldn't get the idea out of my head. I was all in on this idea that I'm going to write a book. Like, I've always wanted to write a book. I had started and stopped writing a few different books, right? And then never finished. But I just dedicated myself to writing the book. And so I started very simply. I outlined my ideas. I knew which podcast guests I would want to feature to be part of the book, right? And then after I had the outline, I just said, Atomic Habits, 1% better every day, right? What's something I can habit stack and get this going? You got to eat lunch every day, right, everybody? At least I do. So what I did was, before I would allow myself to eat lunch on my lunch break at work, 12 to 1, I would write for half an hour. And then I'd be allowed to eat lunch. That was my little game I played with myself. And so I did that 30 minutes a day on my lunch break. Turned into sometimes in the morning or at night as well if I got inspired to write something specific. But I was at least 30 minutes a day for about 6 months. Every single day, 7 days a week, I wrote for at least 30 minutes a day. Boom, you got a book. And then the hardest part was editing. It was crazy when you see it as a book. It's almost overwhelming at first. I had to put it down and step away and come back to it. It's a little scary to see it as this thing. You work so hard to achieve it. You put in all the unseen work to get there. You arrive and you kind of have a little bit of a panic attack. But anyway, I got through that. I enlisted my good friend Kathleen to help me edit it. And then it just started taking shape. Kathleen was awesome, just challenging me, draw out more here, or this is a pretty selfish thing you're writing, Miles. No one's really going to care about that but you. So take it out. And I listened to her, and she made it a better book. So thank you, Kathleen. And then it was all the like so much that went into this stuff, right? Like, how do you get a cover made? How do you get it onto Amazon? How do you optimize for keywords? I learned so much in this process. It was amazing. And hey, Kenneth Dunner Jr., this guy, he's savoring the flavor left and right. I always love when you pop in. Kenneth, thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate you calling out my awesomeness and for tuning in and for everything you share, man. Thanks for being here. So it was just a learning experience, right? And I was talking about this last night when I was teasing my airport thing, as I was filling time when there's a guest that fell through, that I took this book on the road with me. It became a lifestyle thing, writing this book that was largely unseen, was airplanes, at the gym. I just was all consumed on this idea of unseen work and how I could draw upon people's stories from the podcast that were excellent examples of unseen work and highlight their stories as examples. And that's what made it fun for me, I think. And that's why I finished it, is because this isn't just my story. It's all of our stories. We all have these pieces of unseen work. The book highlights several examples from people I interviewed on the podcast. And it became fun to shine a light on these people who, kind of the unsung heroes that I've encountered, people that inspired me. It was great to share their story with more people. And that's what made it fun. And then along the way, as you've seen, this gave way to a TED Talk. I was living this idea. I was writing. I was getting into it. TEDx Williamsport 2020 came up. My theme for unseen work fit perfectly. So I gave the talk after a long, application writing process. It was great. So I had this book ready to go, ready to publish in February of 2020. And then we all know what happened in March. The event for TEDx got postponed because of coronavirus. And so I postponed the book launch because I wanted to have that based on a TEDx talk at the top of the book. I thought that'd be a pretty good marketing kick, right? And so it got postponed and I put it on a shelf. It was the greatest thing that happened for this book. Absolutely the greatest thing, because I went from being all consumed with the idea, preparing for TEDx, almost getting burned out on unseen work, to being forced, like all of us, to absolutely live unseen work every single day for a year and a half while we were dealing with the coronavirus and being quarantined in our homes, dealing with a new normal, and figuring out how I could be resourceful with my extra time. I did so much in 2020. It's crazy to think of. From finishing the book and doing the TED Talk to starting a business, leading masterminds, changing careers. Was a great year for me in the midst of some horrible things that happened. I tried to make best use of my time and to put the unseen work principles into practice. So then when TEDx got rescheduled for October, I dusted off the manuscript and my speech, and I had a whole new outlook and a new appreciation for the topic that got put into the book, and I think is what made it even better. So it's one of those just divine intervention things, in my opinion. I think everything happens for a reason, and this worked for me. I published the book. I do a big launch on here. A bunch of you tuned in. Lots of copies were sold. Very exciting. And then the podcast was born, where I'm just trying to find ways to reinvent the idea, explore the idea more, see what's next for unseen work. What's another iteration on the idea that could possibly happen through where it all started, which was podcasts. So in January of 2021, this guy's, here he is. This sounds so damn scrumptiously, deliciously edible, tasty good to me right now. Kenneth, man, whatever you are eating, drinking, consuming that gives you this outlook on life, my friend, I need to get me some. I love the energy. Thanks for the comment. So in January, I'm a marketer, right? That's what I do. And so I'm self-published. I have to create my own hype, right, around this book if I want to sell copies. And of course, I want to sell copies. I put so much work into it. That's the point, right? You write a book, you want people to read the book. So it was starting to get like a downward trend from the initial launch. Initial excitement wore off. People like, okay, we get it, Miles. You wrote a book. Shut up, right? And so I started looking at how do I advertise on Amazon and paid search with Google and social, but then also what's out there that can give me an excuse, get me in front of more eyeballs, right? And so I started looking at award competitions, and I found the Next Generation Indie Book Awards, and I mailed off 4 copies of my book, hardcover, submitted it, followed the directions, and forgot about it, really. Months and months had passed. I wouldn't hear until May, they said, which was a long time away. I did find out in May, but my spam filter found out in May, actually. And by happenstance, I got a second email from them that didn't hit spam. And I was like, wait a second, search the name of the book title, see the email that says, congratulations, you won, right? You're a winner. And it was really neat. And so now it's just been getting all the stuff going behind the scenes. The actual award presentation ceremony of sorts is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be tuning into the virtual awards gala. I'll share whatever I can out of that. I know they're going to be pulling up the book cover, and I'll get a shout out. I'm getting a certificate in the mail. My medal arrived, as you can see. And to show it again, I'm in the process of updating all of the unseen work, product listings, cover images, so that as this thing is out in the wild, people can see that it won an award. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to me talk about unseen work for the last 2 years. For those of you that continue to listen to me talk about it and who give me encouragement, whether it's the people at the wedding I was just at who pulled me aside to tell me that they love listening to my podcasts, and I never knew that they were listening. I really appreciate moments like that, because it can feel quite literally that I'm talking to a wall, because there is a wall in front of me, right? And I know not everybody listens to this live. People catch it back on the podcast. They watch it back, the replay on social. I can see all the stats. I know you're out there, but as a single host of stuff like this, it can feel like a lonely endeavor. So it is really awesome that I get this sort of feedback, this affirmation for me, and hear that support from folks in person when I get it. So thank you to everybody that tunes in, that comments, that lets me know you listen, that is buying the book and sharing it with your friends. It really does mean a lot to me. And I really, truly believe that we all have to do that unseen work, right? So that when we're seen, we have something to show for it. As a society, right? To get on my soapbox, we're also consumed with the quick wins, with the McDonald's supersize me. I want it now. I want it bigger, better, faster, stronger, all at once. But what's sustainable in life, what you can continue to do and be successful with, is what you can do repeatedly when no one's watching. If you love it when no one's watching and no one cares, when they finally do care, you're going to be ready. You'll step into that spotlight. You'll own that spotlight, and you'll be able to sustain that spotlight. And that's what the book's about. That's what I'm trying to be an advocate for with everybody I interact with. So this award just proves to me that I'm on to something. Other people like the idea, and we can do some really cool stuff together. So thank you for watching. I got another comment from Kenneth. This guy's lighting up the comments. What do you got for me, bud? A book sell. Thank you. A suave, debonair, sophisticated gentleman. This guy is... You're on it with the adjectives and adverbs, man. I appreciate all these kind words. I'm not going to read them all verbatim. If you listen to this on the podcast, go check out the replay video on YouTube. But thank you, Kenneth, man. Appreciate all the support and you tuning in again. So let me hype up somebody else real quick. Let me get my screen up and while I'm talking. So our guest next week, I'm pretty confident is not going to stand me up. This is somebody that I went to school with at Lycoming College, and he also just wrote a book, which is really cool. he wrote a novel, which, my goodness, is probably way harder than nonfiction, right? He had to create a whole world, right? So let me share this guy. Let me share my screen, and you get a taste of who we're going to talk to next week. There it is. Once it loads, boop, boop, boop. All right. We are talking to Zachary Finn next week, everybody. He wrote Ancient Evil versus Good Boy, which is awesome. So there he is. Here's his face. Let's pull him up. This is who you'll get to see next week. So we're going to talk to him, similar thing, right? Author to author. I want to hear about his book process and how it compares to mine. Now, he actually has a publisher, which I'm super excited to learn about, whereas I went solo. He had somebody backing him, helping him out, which is really awesome and a testament to his writing and what he's doing. Zach is an author. He's also an MMA fighter. He's a wrestler in college. And, you know, Kenneth threw out the word gentleman there, right? Every time I've interacted with this guy, he is a true gentleman. So I'm excited to hear his story and to share it with you all. So I hope you join me next Wednesday, less than a week from today, which is a Thursday, if you're watching it live, for Zachary Finn, author of Ancient Evil versus the Good Boy, here on Unseen Work. And until then, I'm going to be hanging out in the studio, wearing my medal, watching the awards ceremony tomorrow. And I'll share updates there. And keep your eyes on Amazon. Get your copy with the award seal. And if you got a copy without an award seal, stuff's turning to collector's items, everybody. It's like a first edition at this point, right? Could be worth something one day if we keep racking up these awards. So thank you all again. I will catch you on the flip side. Cheers.